Okay, friends, we're back with another 5, 10, 15 minutes. I don't know how long these are messages, but I hope you've been enjoying them. And this has been the richest teaching I think that I've done. I've done, through the prism of chrisms, what I used to call my 5-minute videos. But now that I have Trish here, I think it's just a great format. She's learning. I'm learning from her vantage point. And our study is if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. I didn't choose that theme because I had issues with that, but it's just a good picture for the Proverbs 31 woman. Now, what do you got on today? I actually told her to put this shirt on because I think everybody ought to have one. Explain
yes,
what you designed there.
Yes, this is a 3/4 length sleeve t-shirt. It says, "Oh yes I can," Philippians 4:13. Can do all things through Christ,
And,
but oh yes I can.
We have them available on our website, right on the
Yes.
bottom of the page under House of Fire there.
Yes.
It gives you chrisjackson.org. Now, yesterday we're talking about her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. I thought of the word projection. All of us project in one way or another through our children, through our mate. I get a sense of value by having you under my arm. I'm sure you like having me with you. We project through our children. There's wrong ways of projecting. I think of dads that, dad didn't do all that well maybe in football or something, or maybe he was great at football, but he thinks his son's got to be a professional linebacker, and he tries to project his dreams and his goals through that person. I think wives, in this verse where it says her husband is known in the gate, I think she finds a sense of value and a sense of excitement that my husband is out there succeeding. Now, here's the thing you have to worry about. Maybe you can comment on this. There can be jealousies in a marriage. Her husband is known in the gates. Well, why can't I be known in the gates? I have a ministry. I know the word. Maybe I'd like to be known in the gates too. What do you do about that?
Well, my thought on that is, if you're married, if you're truly one, then when he sits at the gates and he's recognized and people listen to him, and then we're one. I'm sitting there too, even though I'm not there. So I share and I'm proud of what he accomplishes in his ministry. I have my place in what I may want to speak to women and as to their troubles and encourage them. And as they're encouraged, I know that he's blessed by knowing that I have a way to minister to people. But he sits at the gates. He is the head of the home. He is the head. He is my head. And so, but by us being one, there's no jealousy there.
So if I'm honored, you're honored. If you're honored, I'm honored.
Right.
But there's homes though where the husband's a doctor, or he's around all these people. And he gets all this notoriety, and it can be bad. You've seen so many marriages break up where in Hollywood and so forth, where one person's way up here and they get all of these accolades, and you're too small for me now, and he goes on his way, and she divorces, and you have to project through each other and applaud each other's accomplishments, and make sure that as you're receiving applause that you are also passing on the honor, because as I said, behind every success there is someone who's helping in that success. And no married person makes it completely on their own. A wife or a husband, one way or the other, is standing in support, so keep that in mind. And her husband is known in the gates when he sits. We shared the other day when he sits. Now, over and over, we see the woman working, rising up early in the morning. Her candle goes not out by night. She's putting food on the table, a portion for maidens, and he's sitting. So make of that whatever you want, but he sits a lot, evidently. Now, verse 24, she. Did I give you, hey, there's something you said you wanted to read. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Okay. No, that's
we were
all
going to start with that.
Okay.
This is in parenting. I like this. I read that.
Right. If I had my child to raise all over again, I'd build self-esteem first and the house later. I'd finger paint more and point the finger less. I would do less correcting and more connecting. I'd take my eyes off my watch and watch with my eyes. I'd stop playing serious and seriously play. I'd do more hugging and less tugging.
That's by
love
Diane
that.
Lumens.
Yeah.
I didn't write that.
Diane
She didn't
Lumens,
write that.
no.
I like that. I would finger
Right.
paint more and point the finger less.
Yes.
You know, things aren't nearly as serious as we make them out
Right.
to be. And it's better from our vantage point when you get into grandparenting age and even beyond that, that you can look back and say the things that we made such big deals out of were not that important, but the little things were important. We got
Yes.
to be with your grandkids the other day. They're out catching catfish. I thought,
Yes.
my, that's what living is.
it
Okay,
is, yes.
so I wanted to get that in, but let's look at her garments. She makes linen garments and sells them, verse 24, and supplies sashes for the merchants. I think King James says maybe girdles. So she's got her a Victoria's Secret business going on. But we see her self-image. She's clothed in fine linen. We see her projection. She's glad to project her aspirations in life and allow her husband to succeed. But now we begin to look at her commerce. She's a
Right.
business person.
Yes.
From a business person's
Yes.
standpoint,
Right.
say something here.
Right. Well, I did own independently and operate a real estate company for 10 years after I retired from another job. And, I took care of the home. I took care of kids. I ran a business, and
That was when we talk about putting a woman in her place.
Right.
At that point, that was your place.
that was my
Nobody
place
could say
at
any
that
different
season.
because God
No.
worked miracle after miracle
Yes.
to make it happen. So
Yes.
those of you who just want to point fingers and
Right.
say, there are different rules and there are different roles,
Right.
we don't always know those rules and roles. They cross over at times, and sometimes it is the wife that maybe is in the gate. There's some great women of God who are in the Senate right now, and you take a Nikki Haley or someone like that who was there representing the United States in the United Nations. That is a supreme role. But finding your place means knowing your purpose.
Right.
And then fulfilling it with all of your heart and mind.
Exactly, yes.
So this woman is making garments, selling them, supplying sashes for the merchants. In other words, she is known in town. The merchants are coming to her doorstep wanting her materials and what she builds. And verse 25, though, when we really talk about a woman's clothing, it's not so much whether you have an "Oh Yes I Can" t-shirt or whether you're dressed in silk and fine linen. Here's what it says. Give us verse 25, if you would,
Okay.
Trish.
Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come.
What does that mean? Strength and honor. That
Strength
doesn't
and
sound like
honor.
that doesn't sound like a particular dress in particular.
With strength and honor, I think that when you meet someone, that you can see their strength. If they have strength and confidence in God and knowing their purpose and what they're doing, they carry themselves differently. They
Clothing
respond
is
differently.
external, so you can see in a person what's
yes,
on the inside.
Yes, I believe you can. And strength and honor are her clothing as a Proverbs 31 woman.
Yeah, and then it makes this statement. I want to close with this before we go on to the law of kindness in her tongue tomorrow. She shall rejoice in time to come.
Right.
I love that. As we read down through this, maybe she's not rejoicing all that much. We have the right to make the choice to rejoice. We can have joy every day of our life. There's not a woman, whether she's in a CEO position or if she's Nikki Haley in the United Nations or if she's at home with a child in each arm with her twins and struggling, she can have joy. Is that true?
That's true. She can have joy. She's leaning on God. And, rejoice in time to come. Yes, there are days that we're not joyous when we've got 2 crying babies and supper boiling over on the stove and the dog's barking and,
But this is prophetic.
Yes,
if you're
it
not
is.
rejoicing right now,
Right.
you may be a battered wife. You may be a splattered wife. I don't
Yeah.
know. You may be all over the place.
Yeah.
But she shall rejoice in time to come. That can only mean to me that a good God who works all things together for our good is going to pay you back someday.
Yes.
All the hardship, everything that went into producing the virtues, the values, the vows, the vision of this Proverbs 31 woman, God says, I'm going to pay you back, and you will rejoice in time to come. It may not be today, it may not be this week, it may not be during your marriage, it might not be during your entire life, but listen, rejoice in time to come. This thing doesn't end when you die. There's a reward banquet coming. There are people that finally found everything that they longed for, and they found it in heaven. But the key is, look forward every day with joy, because if it's not today, then I'm going to rejoice in time to come.
Right.
But I want to share the New International Version is a powerful statement there. It says, she smiles at the future.
Right.
Think that through.
Right.
Rejoice, smiles.
Right.
You know, a smile can add a lot to one's face value. I've known the difference between most men and women is the smile. You walk down the hallway at a grocery store, and you get a smile. You just get a smile from women, and I'm not talking about me.
Okay.
All people.
Okay.
All people.
He's not
women
going to the grocery store
tend
anymore.
to get smiles,
Right.
because she smiles at the future.
Yeah.
She carries herself with a positive confidence that things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
Dad is wondering about losing his job. Am I going to get this mortgage payment made? On and on and on, our struggles, our worries, our troubles. But this inner confidence, she smiles at the future.
Right.
So it's going to turn out all right. You know, when we talk about her strength and her clothing, could you give me, this may sound chauvinistic, but could you give me 1 Peter 3, verse 3 and 4, and then we'll
Okay.
close.
Okay.
1 Peter 3, I told you the other day, Peter has a certain way of talking about women. Paul has a way of talking about women, and people say, well, they aren't a woman, so they can't speak for me. But look at Mary. She has a way of speaking to women. So Peter, Paul, and Mary, that's who I go to. I'm going to do a series sometime on Peter, Paul, and Mary on women.
We're on
But it
Peter
says,
today.
wives, likewise submit yourselves to your own husbands.
Right.
You don't have to submit to somebody else's husband.
Right.
Well, I'm a man. I'm carry the weight around. No, you don't. Nobody submits to you, only your own personal wife.
Right,
But give us
right.
verse. Did I say verse 3?
Verse
Okay,
3.
her clothing is strength and honor.
Right.
Read about that.
Verse 3, do not let your adornment be merely outward.
Merely outward.
Right. Arranging the hair, wearing gold, or putting on fine apparel. Rather, let it be the hidden person of the heart, with the incorruptible beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is very precious in the sight of God.
So, when you see that outer strength and honor, you know that inside there is a heart for Jesus, and there is a quiet, humble, yet positive and confident woman of God in there. Praise the Lord.
Right, right.
Say something and we'll sign off today.
Okay, I just want to say, you know, being a Proverbs 31 woman, I have failed in many ways. Every day is, you know, a new day. So I just want to say, if you think you can't do this, you know what? This is just a guideline for us to go by. You just take one day at a time. Tomorrow's a new day. Just wake up and read your scriptures and we'll go again.
And finger paint more,
Yes.
and point the finger less.
Enjoy.
Do more hugging and less tugging and
Yes,
bugging,
yes.
and your life will change.
Amen.
Bless you. See you tomorrow. And make sure you go to our website and try you on a size of this Oh Yes I Can shirt.
Yeah. Be blessed.